welcome. You're listening to The Best of Investing on Talk 910, the show where we present valuable information about real estate, the financial markets, and other economic business of the day. Today's show is going to be really special because Kathryn has a very interesting article about the next subprime meltdown. You're going to want to stay tuned for that. I'm your host, Edward Brown, and I'm proud to have as my co-host Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money, California's fastest growing mortgage investment firm, and Kathryn Harris, CPA of Parati and Karad. We have to upgrade
Did you just drop some gang signs
I did.
there?
No, I thought he was introducing me, and he was still going with you, and I was like,
Oh, okay.
that's okay, it's me.
We just have to upgrade the.
It's the Southern Marin.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, our phone number is.
Gang sign. You don't know.
Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Write that number down, 888-912-1190, because you're going to use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. You got it. We're giving away 9 vacations during this show. Now, the vacations are not sponsored by the radio station, but by Lighthouse Resort and Marina, located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco. The vacations are free. Their only request is a $75 cleaning fee to cover housekeeping expenses. Check them out. It's called Lighthouse Resort and Marina. You can reach them at 916-777-5511. Now, today's trivia theme is good people can do bad things. What?
That'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be kind of interesting. You'll understand. I think it all has to do with movies. So it'll be interesting.
Even better.
Okay, our website is bestinvesting.com. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube. All right, we're going to just check us out. How's that? Okay, let's get into something. I just want to get right down. All the sources.
Media.
Exactly. Okay. Kathryn, why don't you tell us what's going on subprime meltdown?
It's the new one. It's the one that's boiling under the surface that no one knows yet.
Yeah, I'm still reeling for
But
the
not
last
housing,
one.
because as far as I know, we don't really have much of a subprime market back yet, although
Yes.
that's brewing.
And they talk about how the next crisis was supposed to be student loans.
Student loans.
Oh, yeah.
But no, you didn't think about this. It's auto loans.
I was going to guess auto because I'm thinking, what else is left? Really? Okay. Why is that?
Yeah. Well, they've been the article speaks about that with the tightening of the market in homes.
Okay.
With low interest rates, that the banks need to generate a profit, and with interest rates going up on mortgages, they can't generate profit that way. Here is an avenue where they can be a little bit more liberal and risky with who they decide to offer auto loans to.
0%?
Well,
I mean, I don't know how you get much subprimer than that.
Yes, and my husband and I just bought a used car.
Okay.
And I was shocked at the rate I got.
7%.
8.
1.9
For a used car?
for a used car.
Wow.
Really?
Yes.
So
Wow.
where is unless they're inflating the price of the car, where's the subprime? I'm trying to think.
I think they're offering.
It's the easy credit, right?
They're offering the easy credit to people who may not qualify.
Yeah, but it's through the bank or is it through the auto company?
Well, they process it through. It depends. They both offer it. Usually, it's whoever can provide the best rates who you take. So usually that can be with the auto company if they offer a good rate, or banks.
Okay,
Banks will do it, but
okay,
then
but
they'll sell them off.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think. Okay, 1.9%. How much juice is in there for them?
It's not, but it's the principle. It's what it's not. There's not
It's
much.
the easy
juice.
credit.
It's the easy credit
It's
for
the
the
fact
people.
it's the fact that if you count auto loans now, I don't know if the article talks about it, but I'm guessing that of the billions and billions of dollars in auto loans, it's probably growing exponentially. And like student loans, the opportunity for default is probably going to grow.
Exactly.
Yeah, but how does the bank
Exponentially
make
as well.
money then? At 1.9%.
I imagine they turn it around and they get some type of
There's
administration
probably a
processing
discount.
fee, and yes.
Yeah, there's probably a discount in
Yeah.
principle somehow, and that in points that juice up yield to them. The consumer, it's a great deal.
Yeah.
But the point being is that housing easy credit is a thing of the past. We all remember how easy it was to get a bank loan with a FICO score and nothing else.
Yeah, like you said, you used to have to just fog a mirror with the
Yeah.
card. You have to be at least 16.
Yeah. There you go. You got to be.
And
flexible.
probably
But
18.
that's it.
Yeah.
There's no verification of income. There's no it's checking their FICO score, and if they qualify for whatever the lower criteria, and I think that's where the banks are competing. They need to generate business, and this is one area that apparently they can do it. So they're reducing the rates that they're accepting. They're reducing the interest rate so they can accept it.
Okay, so if we're going to have, let's project this, then if we're going to have a subprime, quote, meltdown situation,
meltdown.
yeah, because of the easy credit, then at some point the banks are going to have to foreclose on those cars if they can ever find them because it's a moving asset. And I guess what they would have, boy, there could be some good bargains out there if the prices of those cars are going to drop.
They could.
Yeah.
But what was it?
It is all speculation, of course.
Yeah, of course. But I think the point is that as banks are still reeling in many ways from the effects of all the Dodd-Frank regulations, and I know for a fact because of the business we're in, making private money loans, that conventional loans are falling out at a pretty significant rate, and so the banks are really still trying to figure that whole aspect of it out. And subprime for homeowners really doesn't exist yet, although I think it's going to come back slowly in the second half of 2014.
Yeah, but car loans are such a small. I mean, we're not talking $200,000 loan. We're talking about 10, 20,
No, but
30,
the volume.
It's the volume, and I don't know.
That's been the shining star also in the last 5 years.
Which would help the economy quite a bit, but then if you have a subprime meltdown of that, and then they have to start pulling it back because Dodd-Frank will get in or some other two congressmen will get together. Then,
what's interesting is that not only auto loans, but business loans and other types of credit are coming back in a big way. And again, I think a lot of banks are investing in companies that provide fast and easy, money via the internet. And there have been articles recently where there's several dozen names that I hadn't even heard of, and I usually study this thing. I mean, we've all heard of probably Lending Club or
Bank of the Internet.
Yeah, right. But
I mean, it really is.
Well, Lending Club,
that's the name of it, apparently.
Lending Club is one of the more, probably the better known of the internet-based companies out there that you can go to and apply for credit, unsecured credit, that is. There's actually quite a few. There's, like I said, there's several dozen new companies that have popped up, and many of those companies, some of their investors and or owners are banks.
But just do Kickstarter.
Well, that's one way to raise money if you're trying to fund a business.
Give to me.
But there's a ton of capital out there, and the ebb and flow of capital is a very interesting topic to get into. And right now, capital is looking for yield. It's looking for places to put itself and earn. And auto loans, I guess, is one of them. Notwithstanding the 1.9% loan you got from.
I'm happy.
I bet the average rate is actually quite a bit higher than that. That's probably.
I was still shocked. I mean, even I've never heard that for
a used car.
A used car.
Yeah, for new cars, you can still get 0% for some companies for 48 months or whatever. Yeah. Wow, pretty amazing.
Well, and Edward, you and I just bought our kids' cars recently, and it's just such an easier process now. I mean, we got in fact
under invoice, baby.
Yeah, under invoice, and the financing is like you said, 0%. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it's hard to turn that down. It's like free money.
Yep.
Tell you what, let's go to a quick commercial break here. Now, last week we had a special trivia contest where the winner won a 2-night stay at the Hyatt Palm Springs in Palm Springs. Where? Palm Springs, the Hyatt Palm Springs. So it's Valentine's Day every day at the Hyatt Palm Springs. Couples can indulge themselves in a relaxing and romantic atmosphere that will create memories to last a lifetime. Their romance package includes complimentary bottle of champagne, chocolate-covered strawberries, and a playful romantic gift. That's playful, okay? To make any guest stay more than memorable. Package also includes full breakfasts for 2 each day and late checkout, of course. And the room rates start as little as $159, representing a 47% savings. Check them out. They're very close to the downtown, the heart of downtown Palm Springs, within walking distance to hundreds of specialty shops and attractions. www.hyattpalmsprings.com or call 760-322-9000. Now, here was the contest question. Almost 25% of us have done this very dangerous thing. What?
Text while driving.
I'd say that's more than 25%. Now, you ready for this? Changed clothes in their car. But you had right in the car.
While it's moving?
I'm guessing.
Wow.
My guess is it's probably not too dangerous if the car's not moving. But changing clothes, I mean, I don't know which clothes, shoelaces or something. I don't know. I guess
shoes. I imagine
shoes. That's probably the most one.
Lion's share.
That's right. Our winner was Sam from Palo Alto. Congratulations, Sam.
All right.
Okay, here's our first commercial break trivia question. Again, the theme is good people can do bad things. In which movie did Lance Corporal Harold Dawson and PFC Loudon Downey go on trial for the murder for giving a code red to William Santiago at Guantanamo Bay? All right. The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. In which movie did Lance Corporal Harold Dawson and PFC Loudon Downey go on trial for the murder for giving a code red to William Santiago in Guantanamo Bay? Don't touch that dial. The best of investing will be right back.
Did you say a movie or a TV show?
Movie. Kathryn knows that one.
I'm trying to think of just anything that might
I
be
know
somewhat
that you
applicable.
know. I know you know
Is
the
it,
movie.
you can't handle the truth?
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Code red, you really gave it away.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
You've seen
You
you've
go
never
man.
you've seen A Few Good Men, haven't you? You've never seen it with Tom Cruise?
Oh,
You gotta rent that movie. That's a
Tom Cruise.
I've
I think it's
heard
a
of it.
classic
I've heard it's a
probably.
good
And
movie.
Demi Moore.
Well, and the main
Jack
you can't
Nicholson.
know Jack Nicholson. Yeah.
You can't.
I've heard of that.
it's a fabulous
I've heard of
film.
it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, it's a very good. It's a very
Demi
good
Moore
movie.
when she was still.
You know what's fun?
yes,
Yeah.
before.
You know what's funny? When that movie first came out, I was looking and I go, wait a minute. I actually kind of put together, wait a minute, why such and such? They finally, at the very, very end,
Yeah.
got to that point. I
Yeah.
was putting in my Sherlock Holmes hat. You know what I was gonna say, right?
Yeah.
Okay, don't tell Kathryn you'll ruin it.
No, I won't.
No, definitely read the movie.
I most likely won't be
What-
watching it anytime
Jeff,
soon.
what-
I've got about 20 movies I want to watch.
Oh, really?
What-
Watched about 0. in
Which
the
one
last
do you
5
like,
months.
besides all the kids ones, because you have little kids?
That's usually what I'm watching.
What bank did you go to?
Highlighter over
And-
there handy.
and-
You're working
and
on
if
some
a-
stuff there.
A car is 7 years or older. Over 7 years, they won't give you an auto loan.
Oh,
Highlighter under your
they
keyboard?
have weird ones.
I just went through this
Nice.
last week,
Yeah.
and so they couldn't be an auto loan, so they switched it to a personal loan. It was Wells
This
Fargo.
one's dry.
I'm sorry, a 1974 Pinto, they won't give you a loan on.
1974. Well, this was a good car. It was a Subaru. But Subaru's a good car.
It depends what year. My brother had a tin one.
2001.
That's why, actually, that's my son just got a Subaru. It's,
They're great.
No, they're who would we I think ours is Wells Fargo.
Was it Wells Fargo? Here in Santa Fe?
It was at the bank. It was at the dealership that we did ours.
Oh,
That's. I mean, they shopped.
Yeah,
That's
my-
what I'm
what kind of car?
an Explorer.
Ford
Moving
Explorer.
on up. Got 2
Yeah.
kids and a big old lab.
Yeah, you need
My
it.
guess
When's
is
the van coming?
no. That was.
You need that.
I tried to. I was like, let's get the van, just because I know how much my husband wouldn't like it.
Oh, really?
I was like, let's show me show you. Look at the van. Does it look nice?
Really? Usually it's the moms that really don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Men like vans?
No,
Oh.
it's not that they like them per se, but we tried the van thing once and it didn't work
I
out.
grew up in a suburban.
Yeah.
Mind you, I have a huge family, and you needed that extra space that the van doesn't give you. And I love it. It was a 1983 Suburban. The seatbelts weren't for anything, and it had no airbags. But if you get in a car accident,
Everyone
you were
else.
yeah,
Yeah. How?
you were perfectly fine.
How many kids do you have?
One of 8. I'm one of 8.
Wow. Yeah. See, 8 kids.
Mark? Excuse me. If you feel comfortable, do you want to play to the camera? I mean, when you do your stuff, because a lot of times it's just the same way, and it'll look a lot better if you're comfortable. I mean, you can look up the camera, you don't have
Well,
to
I
when you
guess.
feel like. No, when you read stuff or look, you know what I mean? Does that make much sense? You too.
That's a
Not you.
good idea. I know a lot of times.
Yeah,
I'm
usually
just
talking to
doing
you
this
guys.
way, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is fine, you guys.
Usually talking to Edward and he's yawning in my face.
I know. Well,
Good suggestion.
Yeah, that's very good.
When he chews his fingernail,
I
I get
know.
off quick. I gotta move off or get right
I
on
lift
him.
up my shorts here too. Okay, ready?
Did you sit? Never mind.
No, I don't have pants on. I got shorts. Here we go.
Wait a minute. Let it rip.
Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hoff of Pacific Private Money and Kathryn Harris, CPA of Parati and Karat. When we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this trivia question: in which movie did Lance Corporal Harold Dawson and PFC Loudon Downey go on trial for the murder for giving a code red to William Santiago at Guantanamo Bay? And Mark, I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
That's right. You can't handle the truth. Who said that?
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson,
Yeah.
A Few Good Men. That's right.
Indeed.
Okay. Mark, you've got a couple of interesting articles for us.
Well, yeah, I did my usual scouring of the blogosphere and went to some of my favorite websites to see what the reports for May looked like. Here at the end of June, but the May figures have all but come out.
And it was an important month. They were a lot of kind of predictions for the future were based on what you're about to talk about.
Well, and that's exactly right. And so most of the article headlines are positive, but the story behind them, there's a little bit of caution in the wind there. So first one I'll talk about, sales of existing home prices jumped 5% in May.
That sounds great.
Now that is actually nationwide, and if you've heard us talk about this before, nationwide real estate statistics are pretty meaningless because here we are not only in California, which is a pretty unique market, but we're also in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is incredibly unique thanks to the tech capitals of San Francisco and Silicon Valley. So notwithstanding that 6%, that 5% jump, which also ended up with a median prices hit a 6-year high. And we talked about the median prices and what that really means. It doesn't mean that as the median price goes up, your home value necessarily goes up. It really means that the mix of homes that are selling are not as many distressed homes anymore. We've really kind of gotten out of that. And I see that in my business. I'm making fewer fix and flip loans at Pacific Private Money and more loans to people buying homes and higher end homes. Our loans are getting larger. So we're seeing a mix of fewer and fewer distressed home sales, more and more turnkey and higher end stuff. The high end market is on fire. You heard Patty Cohn, who's one of our co-hosts, talk about how in Marin and San Francisco, the high end home market is just really on fire. Now, in that, in all of that, there's some quotes here, within the article. If all you do is, read the headlines, you think, happy days are here again. We're still watching the market, the real estate market on fire. But it does. There's an interesting quote in here. What continues to surprise us month after month is that in this 5th year of a so-called recovery, year-to-date real estate sales are on track in 2014 to be at the lowest rate since 2007. So while we're seeing prices going up, unit sales are way down, and that is actually partially feeding the increase in pricing because we still have approximately 20% of all homes in California with a mortgage are still underwater. So you're talking about, that's an awful lot of homes that are off the market that can't be part of the pool of homes that are
They're
turning
prohibiting people from selling.
You keep hearing real estate going up. It's like, when is that going to hit this to where the underwater is going to be, under 5%?
Well, the predictions are not until around 2020.
Really?
Which, of course, when I say 2020, that
That's
sounds like
that's in hindsight.
hindsight is 2020.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, 2020, which actually sounds like so long from now.
Yeah.
Well, it is 6 years from now. But that is, if you're in an underwater home and you're wondering, when am I likely to have any significant equity in my home if I don't do anything, if I don't, do a strategic foreclosure or a short pay or
By
something.
then we'll have the moving sidewalks.
Yeah.
And, everyone will be in the spaceships and all that.
Now, in the light of all of that, an article in the Chronicle did say that housing prices cooling slightly. Although I don't know that we're really seeing that anywhere in the Bay Area. This is a California statistic that the so-called experts who are tracking price increases had predicted that in April the year-over-year increase would be around 12%, and it came in at just under 11, only in quotes 11. So and that's still a pretty healthy increase. So I don't know if that's really a cooling trend or not. But very few people are predicting that double-digit appreciation is going to continue beyond 2014. So that's what's really going to be interesting to see next year at this time as we're sitting here having the same conversation. Are we going to be still looking at double-digit appreciation thanks to shortages in inventory, or are we going to see pricing maybe softening a bit?
Well, yeah, I thought it was really interesting. I was thinking about this, that a few years ago when we started the show, prices were just going down and down. Each week we would do the show, and it's like prices were going further down and down. And now it's kind of interesting because now it's it's been going up for quite a while, so we're kind of riding that wave.
Well, I'm curious to see, I mean, you touched on it, was that it seems like there's the growth, there's one major industry that's growing, or at least one sector of the industry, which is those high-end homes. You talked about how nationwide is hard to, you have to break it down into the territories. You have to do the same thing for what are these high-end homes there's a huge demand and generally deep pockets that can support the increase in those prices.
Yeah, that could really skew the whole.
I'm really curious to see how much that skews, or of that increase, or the cooling trend, or how much the price increase, how much is it attributed to homes that are over $1 million or more, or whatever the definition is.
Yeah, I don't think that's high-end anymore. It's probably over $3 million, right?
Not in Marin and not in San Francisco.
I think from, again, reading these articles, I think that the cooling trend that they're talking about is really as a result of fewer and fewer of the large organizations, hedge funds, corporations that were buying up many homes on the lower end to use as a rental property. That has slowed down dramatically. And in fact, that's one of the reasons why one of these articles predicts that after 2014, they're predicting year-over-year price increases to level off to the 4 to 7% range, which actually is a quite healthy market.
Yeah.
I think what scares most people is that look what happened in 2006 and 7 and 8 as a result of what was happening in the 5 years prior. I mean, when you start to see year-over-year double-digit increases, first of all, it prices people out of the market. Second, it causes speculative behavior where people will just buy a home and do nothing to it but sit on it for purposes or the belief that they're going to flip it.
And the thing is, it ends up crashing rather than just going down a little bit. That's the problem, because once there's that exodus, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's like, well, I better sell. Versus just
it's too late.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's, here the article says, and I agree with this 100%, real estate prices continue to march higher on declining sales volume, which is an unhealthy combination. At some point, you run out of buyers willing to pay higher and higher prices, setting the stage for a decline in sales volume, which we are already seeing, and later for the possibility of a price correction. So what does that mean if you're investing in real estate or real estate backed investments? Is that you just want to make sure that you're not betting on price appreciation. And there's a lot of money to be made in real estate where you don't have to bet on price appreciation. There's a lot of value add opportunities, which is what we at Pacific Private Money, of course, are always on the lookout for.
Yes, which we will get into when we come back from our second commercial break. Again, now, get this. Next week, we're going to have another special trivia contest where the winner is going to receive 2 tickets to All Outdoors California. It's actually All Outdoors Whitewater Rafting. Have you guys ever done whitewater rafting?
As opposed to indoor?
Yeah. No, silly.
Me and my ducky in the tub?
No, but that's the name of it. They're called All Outdoors Whitewater Rafting.
I just want to be clear on that.
Yes. Okay. So jump in and cool off the summer on a whitewater rafting adventure with All Outdoors Whitewater Rafting. Plenty of water for great rafting trips in 2014. 4 rivers are running right now: South Fork, Middle Fork, Tuolumne, and Cherry Creek, all within easy driving distance of the Bay Area and Sacramento. All Outdoors Rafting offers trips that range from beginner trips to the ultimate challenge of Class 5 whitewater, and are great for families, groups, and singles, and trips last from 1 to 3 days. Book your summer rafting trip at aorafting.com or call 800-24-RAFTS. Now, I don't know, like I said, have you guys ever done like the South Fork? That's nice and easy, and you do the Middle Fork.
Yeah.
More challenging, fun. I mean, that's one of my favorite things to do.
Rafting is fun. You don't realize it. It's a really great experience.
It is, especially now. I mean, the weather's just been awesome. and they say that there's still a lot of good water. We think we're in a drought, but the water's been running, so check them out. 824 Rafts, our friends at All Outdoors Whitewater Rafting. And now we're going to cut to our second commercial break, and again, the theme is good people can do bad things. In what movie does Patrick Swayze play Sam Wheat, a man who was murdered and works with Oda Mae Brown, the only living person who could hear him to solve his murder? All right. The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Call 888-912-1190 to answer this question. In what movie does Patrick Swayze play Sam Wheat, a man who was murdered and works with Oda Mae Brown, the only living person who could hear him to solve his murder? All right? 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, your email address, speak slowly, spell out your email 1 letter at a time. When we come back from the commercial break, Best of Investing has a couple of very interesting emails for our host. Okay.
Yay. You know that one, don't you?
I do.
There you go.
Fine.
I always cry at that movie.
Me too.
Me too?
I love Oda Mae. Love that.
Oda Mae Brown.
Yeah.
All right.
She won an Oscar for that one, right?
I think she was for Best Supporting. We'll let you answer that one.
Goats. No, Ghost.
Goats. Incorporated.
Got your goat.
Goats are.
I was reading earlier in the week about how this was about to come out, the May numbers, and they were talking about how I can't tell if 4.9 is good or not. It seems it could be good, but I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't see the May for the Bay Area.
Well, they're just talking about. I think they were doing the entire nation. But it's
Yeah.
just one
Scared
that's
ya, huh?
just weird.
Yeah.
It's all-
You go to your room.
I'm in my room.
Because it went down
I love
in
it.
April year over year, and then it jumps up in May. So it's just funny.
Oh, it was the economy contrasted the first quarter. That's what was the big news yesterday.
Ready?
All right.
Yes.
Yep.
There we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hoff of Pacific Private Money and Kathryn Harris, CPA of Parati and Karat. That's a mouthful.
I worked hard for that one.
Yes.
Those 3 letters.
Yes. I worked hard for my SOB, but that's something different. Okay. In what movie does Patrick Swayze play Sam Wheat, a man who was murdered and works with Oda Mae Brown, the only living person who could hear him to solve his murder?
Ghost.
Ghost. That is correct. Great movie. Okay, Kathryn, email time. Listener writes in, I'm concerned that one of my employees may be stealing from me. What suggestions do you have?
Well, if you have a concern, then you already have a good. It may not be the best outcome for you.
Yeah.
So usually when
There's
you have a
probably a reason for
hunch,
that,
there's
yeah.
a reason. Yes, exactly. The best way to, one suggestion that I hear often is to take a vacation, is have your employee take a vacation and to have somebody else do his work or his or her work. Usually things start to not jive, things don't make sense. Let me introduce myself. I am Kathryn Harris. I'm with Parati and Karat. I'm actually the audit manager. So actually,
So
This is right up your alley.
internal controls is like gets me so excited. I get so nerded out, and like I get a fraud magazine every I think it's semi-monthly, and I go
Fraud
into
magazine.
it gets me so excited.
You go curl up on the couch
I
and,
do.
and read it.
It's just-
Is there actually a fraud magazine?
I turn the lights down low, put the candles on, just to read. It's wonderful.
You're
But
not well.
yeah, but there are 3 major controls that an organization has, and if you kind of employ these controls over the next couple weeks, 2 weeks, third month, you can get us a really good sense if things aren't adding up.
Okay.
Get a bank statement directly from your bank. Take a look at it. Look at the checks that came back. Are those the checks that you signed? Or is that the vendor that you're supposed to be paying? Are you supposed to be paying that vendor? Look. Though you may have signed the checks that were put in front of you, people people are very skilled at forging checks.
And using whiteout.
And using whiteout. And QuickBooks is actually QuickBooks is very user friendly, but it's easy to manipulate. So in your system, people often say, "Oh, I looked at what was in my computer system in QuickBooks, and it says that I paid Bob for landscaping." But you can change the vendor name in QuickBooks, so the name will appear as Bob, but the check will be to somebody else. So you want to look at what you actually paid. On the cash, so same thing on the opposite end is cash receipts. Look at your bank statements. Is the money that you got into the bank what you should have? You still have is what you saw come in the mail, is that what you should have gotten to the bank? Does it make sense? Think about it.
Let me ask you, I know partly it's going to depend on how large your organization is, but we all kind of know that you shouldn't have one person other than yourself handle the accounts receivable, the cash deposits, the bank reconciliation, and all that. How many people should you really divide up like those kind of tasks?
I mean, it does depend on the size of the organization. So really what I'm trying to tell you are things that can be employed when you only have 2 or 3 people. I mean, when you need to have, your business, what, usually when I'm kind of envisioning an organization, a nonprofit or a for-profit that has up to even 100 employees, up to 50 employees, you generally, who are the owner or who's the executive director, you have the feel. Use that feel. You know what money came in. You know what development money came in. You know what big sale you made. And sometimes you don't want to look at the big sales. You want to look at the small sales. Usually those are the ones that can go below the radar. And then payroll. So there's 3. Cash coming in, the checks coming out. Another one is payroll. That's the other way to check money.
Joe Blow, I don't remember him working here.
Yes.
Well, you know what I thought was most interesting, the thing that just occurred to me, and it's giving me that check on myself, is that if you have a vendor that you pay regularly and you're not really sure, or it doesn't really occur to you to check whether or not you really paid him $3,000 versus $2,000, because you're saying maybe 1,000 of that 3,000 really didn't go to that vendor and actually went to somebody else. Because as you said, QuickBooks is so easy to go and change. When you see the check clear, there would be really no way you could, under just a simple cursory look of your last several months of books, know that, unless it occurred to you that, wow, that seems rather high, I should call that vendor and just double check on those payments. So yeah, that's
you do want to look at the bank statements.
Also, I know that there could be bills coming in that may not be appropriate, and the bookkeeper may not really be asking the right questions and just goes ahead and just pay the bill. Pay the bill anyway.
Yes. So I mean, there's the concern of, does someone know what they're doing and they're just paying bills and you're just losing money because somebody just needs to be educated on what should be approved and what needs to be approved. And then there's somebody taking money from you.
And have you ever caught an embezzler?
I have not, though I have experienced it. I've had many instances where we finished an audit and the next month somebody started taking money, and these 3 controls weren't in place.
Wow.
And these are the most. I mean, there's all these other ones that can come into, but for a small organization, for a large organization, these are the 3 key controls.
Well, it's so sad too, because some of the mom and pop places can slowly go out of business because of that. And you read that in the paper all the time. The bookkeeper took $250,000 over 20 years, but
that's $250,000.
That's $250,000, yeah. And the owners of the business just couldn't quite understand. We can't quite get over the hump.
And they couldn't figure out why. And that's where you just need to sometimes get into your own books.
Sure.
You need to understand your business.
Yeah, because you're right. It's not going to be generally a situation where someone's going to write themselves one large check for $100,000.
So I have had it. We've had a we talked about fraud. One just came up where the executive took money and no one was getting bank statements. So he was writing checks of $20,000 each. No one else looked at the bank statements. So your bank balance on your balance sheet says that you've got $200,000, $500,000 in the bank. That's
sounds like
great.
a Bernie Madoff type thing.
And it can be easy. That's how easy it is. That's why I say get it, and you want it direct. You want that bank statement either you download it online or you get it directly at your home, or you have it directly to your attention.
You're just going to go, here, look between these lines here.
Yeah, no, and especially with the software nowadays, people can really manipulate. We've seen checks clear that were fraudulent, not by an employee, but by somebody who gets access to the check and can manipulate the check and forge the check. So So they'll take a live check, somehow get a copy of it. I think it was actually to Kaiser. So it's not
Oh.
Kaiser's fault. I don't know
Yeah.
how, but they then replaced the name, but they had legitimate signatures, a legitimate check. They have a bank account. They have everything they need.
It seems a little too easy to get checks like
And especially nowadays. Now the
Yeah.
banks used to it was a courtesy service they used to give you would actually check your signatures and check to see if things make sense.
Yeah.
That's not how it works now.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
now
too
you
many.
people take the check and take a picture of it and they download it goes deposits right into their bank account. Banks don't give that you have to pay a fee for that now. For them to look at everything. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now a lot of times.
You want me to open the door for you?
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah. A lot of times they won't even give you the checks. They just, you can. I mean, you can. Yeah, I guess if most banks though, if you're online, you can look at it because they'll put them on a microfiche or something.
Well, that's how they have it now. They will never give you physical checks anymore because now physical checks, the banks don't often get anymore. A lot of companies now have it so that they do the electronic deposits at their office, and they just so now you think about it, where your bank and all your copies of your checks and your signatures, your bank information used to be with banks who had rules and regulations. Now it's not there anymore. Now it's with whoever you have that check with. You paid Bob for his landscaping services, and you deposit into his bank, and I imagine he just threw it in the garbage. You hope he shredded it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you send Bob a check, he can take a look at that. He can photocopy that check anyway, and he'll have the information.
Exactly.
Well, in case there's some businesses out there that are kind of needing some help with internal control, how do they get hold of you?
Sure. I can be reached at 415-461-8500, and we do all test work. So audits, if you're concerned with audits, reviews, compilation, people who would like to have a review of their controls and procedures, and we also do tax returns and full service.
Very good. Which phone number again?
Sure. 415-461-8500.
And that's Kathryn Harris, CPA of Parati and Karat. We're going to cut to our final commercial break here. When we come back, Mark's going to get into why loans are hard to find. Okay, again, we're talking, the theme is good people can do bad things. In what movie does Tom Cruise play an officer in the year 2054 where genetically altered humans have visions of murder before they occur in order to save lives and arrest the murderers before they actually kill anyone? All right. First three callers with the correct answer on a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. In what movie does Tom Cruise play an officer in the year 2054 where genetically altered humans have visions of murder before they occur in order to save the lives and arrest the murderers before they actually kill anyone? All right? Don't touch that dial. The Best of Investing will be right back.
Still trying to think of the name?
I know of the movie. I don't know what it is.
I know the name.
That's it. That's it.
God, you're good.
Yeah.
I mean, just recently
You know
came
that- you
out.
know that
I
one?
know it.
You know that one,
Start with.
Kramer?
No, I didn't see it. It was not my type of movies. But
You know
Tom
what?
Hanks
It was a
is
good
good.
movie until they got to the genetically altered part, and it's like, what?
Because they were going to arrest him,
Yeah,
right?
they got
Yeah.
in trouble.
See,
yeah.
See?
I know it.
I just saw, actually last night we just saw The Edge of Tomorrow. It was interesting.
You can say that you didn't like it.
No, I mean, I didn't dislike it. It was, it had some good parts to it. I mean, it's kind of a neat concept.
Yeah, I want to go see that, but I don't know if I'll make it before it gets DVD. Or
Probably not.
Netflix.
Yes, you have to go within like 3 weeks
Yeah,
of release, and then it's gone.
it's nuts.
Last week the quizzes were from 1939 to 1945 about the World War II. And
Sure,
so
yeah, those.
I
He
might,
says-
you know,
my buddy Edward says, "Oh, Kramer will get this one." And you know what? It's the only time we ever got 3 in a row.
Did you get him?
Yeah,
Man.
yeah.
Okay,
Is that in,
So I want a prize.
How much?
you did.
8 minutes.
Oh,
Right.
you've been gabbing.
We've been gabbing. Here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Last time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hahn and Kathryn Harris. When we got to the last commercial break, we asked this trivia question: In what movie does Tom Cruise play an officer in the year 2054, where genetically altered humans have visions of murder before they occur, in order to save the lives and arrest the murderers before they actually kill anyone? Mark.
Minority Report.
That is correct. All right. Now,
You're good with that movie trivia.
he's
Never
very
quite
good.
interested in the name of that. I know that if you watch the movie, there's a reason for that name. But it's just such an oddball name
Yeah,
for sci-fi.
it is.
But it was good.
Okay, so Mark, the email we have here leads right into what we were talking about, just what I said we were going to talk about just before the commercial break. I'm an individual deed of trust investor, and I'm having a hard time finding good deals. Why is that, and how do you get good loans to invest in?
Well, that's a question we actually, I'm very aware of that phenomena. And so for those of you who have listened to our show over the years, you may have heard us say that trust deed investing is one of the best kept secrets in investing today. And that was certainly true 5 years ago. Not so much true today. And I'll admit, part of that is the fault of people like me, because I have been out there promoting trust deed investing to anyone and everyone who would listen as being a very important and critical investment opportunity for people with capital to diversify their savings portfolio for the purpose of boosting the yield. Trust deed investing is great for both income and growth investors because of the fact that you can easily earn 8% or more on your money. In fact, when I first got into this business in 2007 and 8, it was not unusual for a trustee investor to earn 12% on their money. And then it's been coming down over the years, and there are still a few people that I've worked with who would prefer that I call them with an opportunity at 10% or more. But some of the more reasonable, and especially the newer investors, they figure that, hey, 8%, that's like that going to heaven. So the rates have been coming down, however, and that's been in response to, really, the billions and billions of dollars of new investor capital that has come into trustee investing, the world of trustee investing. What is trustee investing? Well, it's essentially you're the bank, you're the lender, your money, your savings is being used to fund a loan that will be used to close a real estate loan. So it's no different than Bank of America or Wells Fargo. When they fund a loan, they use capital from their collected savings deposits, in addition to money they get from the federal funds window, of course. But a private lender, like at Pacific Private Money, we fund our loans through private capital of our stable of investors in our database. And so what's been happening over the last several years, and particularly in the last 2 years, is that as individual notes become trustees because they're secured by a deed of trust, which is essentially a mortgage. A mortgage in California is called a deed of trust, in case you didn't know that. And so mortgage investing or trust deed investing has become more and more popular over the last couple of years. So popular that those that have been doing it for many years are calling me going, I just can't find enough good loans to invest in. And the reason for that is because people like myself, brokers like myself at Pacific Private Money, we have too many good clients, investor clients, calling us with money to invest. And oftentimes it's flipping a coin as to who we're going to give that opportunity to.
Well, 8% sounds a little too good to be true. Has anyone ever lost money?
Not in our company. People, of course, lost money when the market tanked. If they were investing in seconds, that was the most common form of investment prior to the real estate market crash, was that hard money lenders were putting forth. In the last 5 years, almost all of the loans we've done are first position purchase loans secured by property at adjusted values, new values, not the former values. So and usually no more than 65 or 70% of that value. So very, very well secured, earning 8% or more. But getting back to the question, individual notes are in fact getting harder and harder to find, which is the reason reason why at Pacific Private Money we launched a year ago the Pacific Private Money Fund, and in that fund it allows the passive investor, the person who really doesn't have the time or the inclination to chase after and compete with other investors for those individual notes, they can invest in our fund, and our fund shareholders get my promise as the broker of Pacific Private Money that the fund gets the first look if it has funds available, and it does because we make a lot of short-term loans with the fund. It gets the first look at all of the loans that come through our pipeline. So in fact, for example, this past week we funded a $350,000 purchase loan and a $500,000 purchase loan, both of whom were to help a consumer buy a primary residence where they thought they had bank financing lined up that fell through at the last minute. That seems to be the most common loan we're doing today. Contrast that with a couple of years ago when the most common loan we were making were to real estate investors who were buying, fixing, and flipping real estate. So the market has been really changing, and the private money lending industry is here to stay, with banks now having to deal with stricter lending laws, and the fact that they really got their hat handed to them, and the pendulum has really swung the other way in terms of qualifying for bank financing. The private money lending industry is here to stay, and you really should take a look at what is available to you in the arena of trustee investing and mortgageable investing. So for more information, I know we're running out of time, give us a call at Pacific Private Money to reach us. We're in the Bay Area, 415-883-2150. That's 415-883-2150, or visit us at pacificmoneyfund.com.
And I've got some of my IRA money with them, and they pay monthly distributions now, over 8%. Love it. Okay, here's our thoughts for the day. The world's oldest chewing gum is 9,000 years old. I wonder what it tastes like.
Who's chewing it?
I don't know. Who's chewing it? That's a good question. And Thomas Edison was afraid of the dark. No wonder he had to invent the light bulb. Okay, tune in next week to The Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away 9 more free vacations for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. So long. Und that's a wrap.
Good job, Mark.